The horse bolted at midnight. Jeb Carter woke to hoofbeats fading into darkness, his campfire spitting embers at the wind. He grabbed his rifle. Dusty never spooked, not from coyotes, rattlers, or anything alive. Which meant whatever sent him running wasn't. The desert stretched black under a thin moon. Jeb pulled on his boots and followed the tracks into the canyon where the wind carried sounds that didn't belong. Drums that stopped when he listened too hard, whispers in a language he'd spent 15 years trying to forget. He'd been running from ghosts since the war. Tonight, they'd found him. The tracks led to a place he recognized, not from maps, from nightmares. The burial ground sat in a natural amphitheater of red stone, ringed by Joshua trees that looked like twisted centuries. Dusty stood dead center, head down, refusing to move. The horse's eyes rolled white when Jeb approached. "Easy, boy." Jeb kept his voice low. "What's got into you?" Then he saw the handprints. Blue-white paint on the rocks, dozens of them, fresh enough to gleam in the moonlight. They marked the stones in patterns he remembered from another night, another place, where the dying had reached for anything solid as their blood soaked the earth. "You shouldn't be here." Jeb spun, rifle up. The woman stood 20 feet away, arms crossed, backlit by moonlight that made her impossible to miss. Curves that would stop traffic in any saloon from here to Santa Fe, dark hair loose past her shoulders, and eyes that cut through him like she could see every sin he ever committed. "Lady, I'm just after my horse." "Your horse isn't the problem. You are." Jeb kept the rifle steady. "I don't want trouble." "Then you came to the wrong canyon." She gestured at the burial ground. "This place remembers every drop of blood, every broken promise." His finger tightened on the trigger. "Who are you?" "Tala, guardian of these graves, and the last person you'll see tonight if you don't listen." The drum started again, louder now. Jeb glanced at the rocks and saw movement in the shadows between them, shapes that weren't quite human, watching with eyes that burned cold and blue. "What is this?" "Justice." Tala tilted her head. "Show me your rifle." "Like hell." "The stock. Show me the mark on the stock." He didn't want to, but something in her voice made him turn the weapon so moonlight caught the symbol carved in the wood. 3 lines crossed by a circle, old and deep, cut there by hands he'd rather forget. Tala's face went hard. "I thought so." "It's just the mark. It's a death curse. My people carved it onto the weapons of those who betrayed sacred ground." She stepped closer, and the spirits moved with her, circling tighter. "The warriors who marked you are dead, but their anger isn't." Jeb's mouth went dry. "I was a scout. I followed orders." "You led them here. 12 years ago, winter moon, your patrol followed you through these canyons to a village that had done nothing but exist." He did remember. God help him, he did. "I didn't pull a trigger that night." "No, you just showed them where to aim." Tala moved past him, toward the fire she'd built near the graves. "Come, sit. The spirits will let you leave until they've spoken." The fire burned blue at the edges. Jeb sat across from her, rifle across his knees, watching shadows dance between the stones. The drums had faded to a pulse he felt more than heard, steady as a heartbeat. Tala poured something from a leather flask into 2 tin cups. "Drink. It'll help you see." "I've seen enough." "Not nearly." She pushed a cup toward him. "I'm 27. I've spent 9 years guarding this ground, tending graves of people massacred for being in the way. Tonight the spirits are restless because you're here." Jeb stared into the cup. The liquid moved on its own, swirling. "What do they want?" "To be heard." Tala drank from her cup without looking away from him. "One spirit in particular has been waiting. My great-uncle, Naiche. He died with your bullet in his chest." The words hit harder than expected. Jeb saw the face, older man, braids gone gray, eyes wide with shock as the rifle kicked and the canyon echoed, and the body fell. Would knowing his name have changed anything? Yes. Tala studied him over the fire. The flames cast her face in copper and shadow, and for a moment she looked less like a woman and more like something older, carved from the desert itself. "Tell me what happened." The words came slow. "The patrol of 30 soldiers, green and trigger-happy. The captain who won glory. The scout, Jeb, who promised them an empty canyon and found a village instead. The order to leave no witnesses. I fired one shot. At your uncle. He was charging the captain with the knife. I thought I was saving a life. You were. The captain lived another 20 years. My uncle died in the dirt while his wife and children burned. Tala's voice softened slightly. But you see their faces every night, don't you? Every one. She stood, moved around the fire. When she crouched beside him, he smelled sage and smoke on her skin. Her hand trembled slightly before she touched his shoulder. Good. That means you're not beyond saving. The world exploded. The vision hit like falling. Jeb stood in the canyon again, 12 years younger, heart pounding, rifle raised. The village burned ahead. Gunpowder smoke choked the air. People ran between flames while soldiers fired methodically, reloading, firing again. And there, Naiche, charging with nothing but a bone knife. Jeb squeezed the trigger. The old warrior fell. But this time, Jeb kept watching. Saw the wife emerge from burning hide walls, collapse over the body. Saw soldiers drag her away screaming. Saw children scatter into darkness. Saw dawn reveal what 30 men with rifles could do to a people armed with hope. Heat seared his face. Screams filled his ears. The smell of burning flesh and hair turned his stomach. Saw his own face, young and sick, standing there, doing nothing. Stop, he gasped. Tala's voice came from everywhere. They can't stop. This is what they see, forever, unless the debt is paid. The vision shifted. The canyon filled with spirits, dozens of them, hundreds, all watching him with eyes that burned. They pressed in, reached with hands that passed through him cold as January wind. Naiche stood at the center, younger now, whole, the bullet wound a shadow on his chest. He spoke in Apache. Tala translated. He says you owe a life. I know. He says prove it. Naiche raised his hand. The spirit surged forward. Jeb dropped his rifle and went to his knees. Take it. Take my life. I'm done running. The canyon went silent. Even the wind stopped. Tala appeared beside him, real and solid in the spirit world. She looked at Naiche, spoke in rapid Apache. The old warrior's eyes narrowed. I told him you changed, that you carried the weight, that taking your life now would waste the man you've become. And? He doesn't care. She pulled a knife from her belt, hesitated for just a breath, her jaw tight, fear flickering behind her eyes, then cut her palm. Blood welled dark. Before Jeb could move, she pressed her hand to his chest, over his heart, and spoke words that made the air vibrate. The blood soaked through his shirt, burnt into his skin like a brand. Naiche watched, waited. Tala met her ancestor's eyes. Her voice shook slightly. Enough. The spirit considered. Then, slowly, he nodded. The canyon shattered like glass. Dawn found them lying in the dirt. Tala's hand still pressed to Jeb's chest, both of them breathing hard. Dusty stood nearby, calm as Sunday. Jeb sat up slowly. His shirt was torn where Tala's blood had marked him, the skin beneath scarred in the shape of her handprint, permanent, raised, red as forge iron. What did you do? Tala pushed herself upright, pale and shaking. Bound your life to mine. The spirits can't take you without taking me, and I'm too useful to kill. You didn't have to do that. I know, but you would have died a coward's death. Now you have to live. That's harder. Jeb took her arm to steady her. Why help me? Because guilt without change is worthless. Tala looked at the graves where first light touched the stones. You're trying. The spirits see that. I see it. The question is whether you do. He looked at the mark on his chest, then at her. What now? Now you help me guard this place. The dead don't rest easy here. They need someone to remember them, keep their names alive. She walked toward her fire, started gathering her things with unsteady hands. You took lives, now you'll spend yours protecting what's left. That's redemption? Redemption isn't a moment. It's every day you choose to be better than you were. She glanced back at him. Besides, the spirits will wake again. When they do, they'll want to see you're keeping your word. Jeb picked up his rifle, looked at the curse mark on the stock, then he set it down on the stones and left it there. I'll stay. Tala's smile was faint and tired. Good, because leaving was never an option. The sun broke over the canyon rim, turning the red rocks gold. The drums had stopped, the shadows retreated, the handprints on the stones faded to memory. Jeb followed Tala toward the rising light, Dusty trailing behind. The weight on his shoulders hadn't disappeared. It had just become something he could carry. The desert remembered its dead, and sometimes, mercy. Jeb wondered if they'd ever truly forgive him. Tala didn't answer. The wind did. Low and endless, carrying voices that would never quite fade. Some debts took more than one lifetime to pay, but he had time now, and he wouldn't waste it.